What's up, YouTube? It's Vincent here, and I'm going to be continuing my Black Sabbath or Classic Sabbath, whatever, review series. And two things. I actually came down here where it's nice and quiet to read this, which is Judge Dredd Case Files #2. If you don't know who Judge Dredd is, he's a classic UK comic book character who's extremely popular in England, not so much over here, but he's getting around. But I figured before I do that, I would just do the review. Kill two birds in one stone. And I'm doing this a little bit later. It's around maybe 11 o'clock, so I'm a little more run down than I usually would be in most of my reviews. But hopefully you don't notice it and it goes smoothly. So I'm excited because, in my opinion, Paranoid by Black Sabbath is the album where the band really came into their own. Now, what the hell is going on over here? Don't get me wrong. The self-titled debut is an extremely unique album, and it was an innovative record. But it kind of felt like Black Sabbath only kind of had their foot in the door. They hadn't reached the point where they really, their true style that would define them for the rest of the 70s really came in yet. It was kind of just like I'm trying to think of a word, they kind of just had their foot in the door, is what I'm trying to say. They hadn't reached the pinnacle of what their idea was, the themes behind their music. I don't feel that that album really reached that point yet. But with Paranoid, the band got heavier, the band got darker, and way more importantly, they got more consistent. The debut record is kind of a mess of an album. It's it has like 8 million different pressings, which doesn't help. But the first 4 songs on the record are all Sabbath classics, in my opinion, all of them. And then it kind of declined a little bit. There wasn't as much more influence. It was more just the kind of late 60s, early 70s blues rock that, while it was great, like I said, Wicked World, stuff like that, it didn't exemplify the band's style as well as this album and future albums. So, Paranoid, released like a mere months later, I think like 7-8 months later, which is insane, contains not only some of the band's most popular songs and some of the best songs, but songs that would further show why they're so important to not only the development of heavy metal, but just rock music and 70s rock in general. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, and even tracks that aren't as radio not friendly, because none of them really are radio friendly, they just got popular over time, but even the songs that aren't on the radio get a lot of, they're talked about a lot too, like Hand of Doom and Fairies Wear Boots, two other fantastic songs. So the sound of this record is a lot less blues-based, but of course, I'm not saying that it has no blues influence. I mean, every Sabbath record, and basically all hard rock records of the 70s had a blues influence. It was kind of inevitable. I mean, some bands went further with it, Led Zeppelin, some didn't, Sabbath, but it's still there. It's just not as, blues influence, harmonica, the type of bluesy scales that Tony would do on tracks like Wicked World. It's more hidden behind the immediate style of the album, which is really heavy, riff-heavy, dark rock. So, the production on this record is something that definitely changed. I really actually liked the production on the first album. I thought it was very raw, very enjoyable. But this album, the production, and it's one of those production styles that you really can't explain. You just kind of have to listen to it, and you'll understand. It has a very dark quality to it, and I think the reason that is because of the debut to me was an album that was produced very well, quickly, as we know now, but the sound was very open. It sounded very expansive, which is not a bad thing or good thing. It just was kind of like an opinion to me. But Paranoid is a lot more condensed, and it's a lot drier, and there's not a lot of reverb at all, and it's just really dry and rough, and it gives this very dark feeling to the music, which I love. The lyrics are another thing that changed on this record, and this is where some of my favorite, or one of my favorite aspects of the band comes in. The thing I love about Black Sabbath is their lyrics, at first glance, or that's a nicer way of saying, to ignorant people who don't really care to know if they're dark or not, you listen to a song like Iron Man, and you think, okay, well, that's a dark song about a guy who kills people. That's it. Whatever, right? But when you really listen to the lyrics, and this is what I get from it, I hear it's about Ozzy and his drug use, but I'm not sure, but this is my interpretation. The song kind of talks about a guy who's awkward, he's big, he's weird, nobody really wants him, nobody helps him out with anything, and even when he, and I quote, traveled in time for the future of all mankind, he goes into the future and he saves the world. After he comes back, people still, instead of treating him like a hero, make fun of him and still treat him like shit. So then he rises from the grave and kills the people he once saved. And I love that, because it's not just, okay, this Iron guy comes from the grave and then murders everybody. There's a meaning to it, and it's a very tragic, sad meaning, to me anyway. And then you get a song like Hand of Doom, which is about drug use and how partying could lead to your death. Songs like Paranoid, which is actually about Geezer's depression as a teenager, which I'm sure everybody can relate to. And then War Pigs. And you know when there's those songs that are really popular, but you get why they're popular? This is one of those songs. War Pigs is a mammoth song, and it is a song that, to me, not only represents a generation, I think, because of the time in which it was released, but it represents why Sabbath was so fucking awesome. Instrumentally, it's an amazing song, okay? The opening is so doom-heavy and so thick and rumbling. And real quick, a little side note, I don't want to get too far away from the main topic, but the production on this album, dude, the rhythm section on this record is amazing. Bill Ward and Geezer Butler together, no, it's done. I even sometimes think that they are even better than some of the other big rhythm sections that people flip out over, like John Bottom and John Paul Jones. I love Zeppelin, and I love John Paul Jones and Bottom, but I don't know, man. Bill Ward and Geezer Butler are just insane together. And in the intro of War Pigs, listen to the way Geezer's bass just perfectly meshes with the drums to create this awesome, just amazing rhythm that the guitar riff goes on top of. That, to me, is so representative of why I love Black Sabbath so much. And it's one of the band's finest songs. The lyrics are fantastic. The lyrics actually started off as just a satanic song about black masses, but not, I know Sabbath aren't, Satanist, I just said that, but it was a darker song about satanic rituals and stuff. It's called Walpurgis. It's some weird name. You can look it up on YouTube. It's available. But then they changed it into a war-themed song. And the name of the album was actually supposed to be War Pigs, but a good company were a bunch of assholes, and they said, hell no. No way in hell. It's gonna be Paranoid. And it was. So anyway, back to War Pigs. Just not only the verses, how they have that really swinging dun 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 dun, the way he bends the note, Tony, it's great. Bill Ward's drumming, amazing. I can't get over how good of a drummer Bill Ward is. Really amazing, underrated drummer. Just awesome drum beats. And then the two little solo sections after the first vocal section, after Ozzy, wait till the judgment day comes. Yeah, after that, Tony goes into this amazing solo, which is so melodic, and it's so sad sounding, and it really fits the theme of the song, and it's really dark. And then after the next now, that part, after that verse, they go into another instrumental section that has an amazing riff, and it's awesome. And it's one of the best songs off the record, one of the best songs ever made in my opinion, and an absolute Sabbath classic. And then, I like the sound a lot, can you tell? I'm really happy I decided to talk about Sabbath. Bill Ward was talking about, one time they played this song, and there was a bunch of Vietnam veterans in the crowd, and they were all in wheelchairs and screwed up, and I thought he was about to say they didn't like it, and they were upset about it, but instead, they said that people in the crowd helped them stand up, and they saluted, and Bill Ward said, "You can't forget something like that," and then he looked down, he started wiping his eyes like, "I didn't expect to cry today," which is another reason why I love Bill Ward. So that just shows the true power of that song, and I love it, it's amazing. And it is a timeless song as well, because, it's not like, okay, this song is about Vietnam War. This song is about all war, of all eras, and they could have written that song on their new album, 13, and it still would have made just as much sense, and nobody would have questioned it, because it's such a timeless, it transcends time. It's just kind of this song that can work for any period in which people are sent to war, and I think that's awesome. Electric Funeral, another amazing song that just showed how innovative these guys were. The riff, the bass on that song especially too was fantastic. The lyrics are extremely dark about like radiation and all this crazy shit. And it is an extremely eerie riff, which is what I love about it. The wah 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 wah. And the best part is Tony, and this is something he does on a lot of other songs too, is, and I don't know if anyone else notices this, I'm sure they do, he'll write a riff, and he'll play the riff, but then later on in the song, he'll play it harder and louder, and he changes the context of the riff. For example, in Iron Man, which is what I love about Iron Man 2, the intro literally sounds like this big dude just going boom, 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 just stomping around, and he does that big, thick, heavy guitar chord that just rings and makes it sound so big, like this dude just going around destroying buildings and shit. And at the end of the song, he plays it even harder and makes it even more powerful, and it gives a new context to the riff just by manipulating it. And that's what makes Tony Iommi a fucking genius guitarist. Now, who haven't I talked about that much yet? The Ozman, Ozzy. His vocal performance on this album is absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. He has that really dark tone in his voice, but he can get really aggressive, like on songs like War Pigs and Iron Man. But at the same time, he can get pretty haunting, like on Planet Caravan. And Planet Caravan is one of my favorite Sabbath songs because it's an extremely slow, spacey number. And the song is about kind of exploring the cosmos with your loved ones. And because I am or your loved one, significant other. Because I'm a huge nerd for anything space-related, because I'm really interested in astronomy, I love this song. Just the way Ozzy's vocals are so distorted and trippy, and the fact that I'm just imagining the band just jamming in like a little mini studio, because Bill Ward's playing the bongos, Tony's playing an awesome riff, there's an awesome solo in there, just absolutely amazing song. So real quick, I'm just gonna think if there's anything I forgot to mention, because I do that a lot in my reviews. Okay, so I guess I'll just mention the rest of the songs, really. Paranoid. Gotta be honest, not my favorite. And I know everyone's gonna be like, what? That's one of the classics. I definitely enjoy it, but it's not, I don't think it stands up to the rest of the record. And then there's Rat Salad, which is kind of like Toad by Cream, Mule by Deep Purple, or Moby Dick by Zeppelin, because it's a drum solo. It starts off with a really cool riff, the band just kind of jams for like a minute, and then Bill Ward comes in. And I think his solo could have been better, and when I say that, I don't mean, oh, he's, because I don't like him as a drummer, because obviously I've said in this review, and I'm going to say many other times, one of my favorite drummers and one of the most underrated drummers, but I've heard other solos by him, and I think he can do better. So personally, I think it's a shame that it isn't as good of a solo as it could have been, but it's still a great song that shows how good of a drummer he is. So Paranoid, the funny thing is, I actually used to not really like this album that much. I used to think it was a little overrated, but after a very long time listening to it, I've totally changed my opinion. I think it is the classic that everyone says it is. This album is just amazing, and in my opinion is the real album where Sabbath came into their own and started really showing why they were such a unique band and why they were such an awesome band. And I think it really is the start of their classic era of awesome, amazing, timeless records. So, this is a long review, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not going to rate it because I don't rate albums really anymore. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And next up, Master Reality, my favorite. I'm psyched. Sabbath, the best. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.